Hey, so there is this woman online who has been popping up a lot on all facets of the internet, and I've been trying to avoid her so that I could make this video. I am a man, so she'll probably be okay with that. I'm just assuming that that's what she wants. So yeah, H3 decided to interview her, which is great. I love that. And he apparently eviscerated her, and I've put off watching it long enough.
So she's in the lobby. We're just connecting her. Oh, there she, I can see her. Great.
She's in
Hi.
the Zoom.
Thank you for calling in. Obviously, I saw your tweet. Is this a trap or a good faith conversation? Yeah, I think this is a good faith conversation. I mean, what would you consider to be a trap?
It's kind of like when you walk into an interview and it's like they're not trying to have a conversation. They're just trying to like paint you out to be a certain way, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I used to watch you like last year, actually, a good amount. Like a year or two ago, maybe.
I have a feeling that in like a year, this woman's gonna reveal everything that she's been just like fucking with us. And the sad part about it is that this would be great if she wasn't at the same time indoctrinating literal children on the internet into thinking really fucked up shit. If it were something else, like if she had tricked us into thinking that like she actually had sex with an alien, like something stupid like that, I would not care when she came out and was like, yeah, by the way, I've been faking this whole time. But her saying like, I used to watch you, I don't know. H3 is like now a pretty left-leaning podcast. I can't see how anybody with her frame of mind, like with what she understands to be true, supposedly, could actually be watching his content and getting anything out of it other than just like hate watching. Maybe that's what she's
like
gonna
as a
say,
fan
but...
or as like a hate watch?
No, I don't know if it's like awkward to talk about like Trisha, but I used to watch like the show you guys did together.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was actually really good.
No, you can. No, you can.
Well,
Well, thank
everybody
you. That's
watched
nice
that.
to hear. Yeah.
But wouldn't she hate Trisha? I mean, suppose she should, right? She's a sex worker. She told multiple stories on the podcast about how she did things with people. It's just not adding up for me here. It's not adding up for me, Pearly. It's not adding up. It's not happening up. Somebody needs to do some research on her background because I have a feeling it's gonna be like the Illuminati thing where we're gonna learn that she like did all of this shit in the past. Like she's tried to be an influencer so many times before and it failed every time. It's gonna be like this whole thing.
I know it like didn't work out, but I actually thought that was really good content.
Aw.
Like you guys did the like the bus tour. I thought that was so funny.
Oh, thank you. That's nice. We actually worked really hard on that. All these guys.
The bus
did.
tour is why frenemies fell apart. So
Wait,
glad at least you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it was per segment. Is that what
I don't-
happened?
No,
Well, I don't know if
I mean,
it's so long ago. It's ancient history.
thought it
But
was
I
the
remember she was
Q&A.
upset that it didn't go the way that she was hoping that it
Oh,
would.
she
now we're
thought
getting
we
front
shot
of
it
this tea.
unprofessionally.
Yeah. But but Pearl liked it, so there you go.
Yeah,
And
all
Pearl,
that
yeah.
matters.
Okay.
all matters.
Well, anyway, I guess let's just jump right into it. I want to I don't know how many of my audience, I'm sure a lot do, but I kind of want to just introduce you. You've become really successful the past year or two. Kind of, you're friends with Fresh and Fit, right? Those guys are your dogs, so to speak. And you kind of are sympathetic to their kind of views. But you've made a name for yourself just on TikTok and on YouTube. So let me just ask you generally, like, what kind of messages are you sharing on your platform? What kind of important messages is it that you find
She
yourself
just like
are about?
pulls up Ben Shapiro's talking points and she
I
just
believe
runs
in
through
family,
those.
so I think that we should have policies that push family.
Yup, pretty much.
I think that feminism overall was a bad thing. I think
Feminism was a bad thing. It doesn't exist anymore, obviously, because now Pearl's on the scene. All the feminists are so
that
scared
we
they're
should
running.
be. I think women are happier when we have, a family and kids over a career in the long run. Yeah.
I didn't
Sorry,
know
I'm
you could have only one of those.
a little nervous.
It's
I'm a
okay.
little-
Yeah, I understand. So it's more like traditional. You want people to kind of follow a more traditional path in terms of family and gender and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and you just see the negative like outcomes a society has when like families fall apart, right? And it's especially hard on the children. Like you see, more the kids are more likely to go to prison, they're more likely to drop out of school, they're more likely to be in mental health and
There's like a kernel of truth. I don't know where she was just about to go with that, so we'll stop there. But there is a kernel of truth in what she's saying, and that yes, there are statistics showing that families that don't have close ties with each other, regardless of what the family dynamic is, can often result in children having trauma later on in their life. But I don't think it really has anything to do with like the mom dad dynamic, the like you have to have a father figure and a mother figure who are these perfect archetypes of what they should be according to like the Bible, for instance. So what she's doing is she's taking a little sliver of truth so that her 11-year-old followers can go on Google and Google that and be like, oh, that part's true. These statistics are true. And then they can run around telling all of their friends that they should not have a career when they get older. They should just only be with a man and do anything that he wants and basically lick his shoes when he comes home from work because that's all that they're worth.
institutions. So you just see like
It's a very
all of the
it's a very
problems that
interesting
come with
manipulation
single
that a lot
mother
of these
homes.
people
So I just
use.
think it's important that we push policies that push family.
So how do you push a policy that
I just
promotes?
that is the other thing with these conservative influencers, or they're not even really influencers because they're not influencing much to be honest. I just don't understand this point of like we need to push family. Like there's no, what does that mean? Like what are you, and I think Ethan's about to get into that too. I would assume he agrees with me based on most of the shit that I've seen from H3 recently. I just don't see that as an actual problem that we need to be focusing on politically.
Family? Like, in what way can you force a family to stay
Yeah,
together
like
or encourage
it
it
doesn't make
in a
sense.
sense?
Well, I think you first have to get rid of incentives that incentivize like women to leave families. So, like,
This is The
for
Sims.
example, child support, alimony. I'm not really a fan of those.
Child support.
Period. She ate with that. Just no, just not really a fan of those. So yeah. so okay. Okay, girly pop.
If there's a divorce, let's
Oh,
say
actually, I
that.
think we should ban divorce too. Yeah, I think that should be banned. Yes.
Okay, well that's a little bit silly. You have to
Interesting.
acknowledge that, right?
No.
Interesting.
So banning divorce means that when you decide to get married, you are not allowed by the government to leave your significant other in any situation.
Yeah. I just think that if you want to leave, you just shouldn't get married. So that's just my opinion.
Right, but like
True. The funny thing about that is that I would say probably like 90% of people, I'll even say women, who leave men or want to get a divorce, it's probably because something came up during the marriage, like after the courting period, as these people like to call it. Something has come up after, they're already established, they're already married, their names are already intertwined legally because that's how it works in America. And then, oh shit, now he's beating me. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, I'm sure 90% of those women would have wanted to know that that person was like that before they got into the relationship. Too bad we don't all have a crystal ball. I'm so sorry, Pearl.
in the real world, that kind of
And
simplistic.
there's like exceptions to this, but I would just say in
What are
general
the
for most
exceptions?
cases,
What are the
we could talk
exceptions?
about exceptions, but like the rule,
Well, the
divorce.
exceptions are the important part because I've heard you say that a lot when you're talking about things. You say, "Oh, you want to talk about exceptions," but the exceptions is the important part
I look
because those are the
so
people that are
disgusted.
going to be affected. I mean, exceptions are going to be a large part of divorces, as you say. I mean, you're talking about like, you know, 25% maybe or more,
There's a
because
reason why you need to claim a reason for divorce when you file for divorce. There is, and yes, some states are going to be a little bit more free with just just having differences. Basically, I can't remember what it's called. I really don't care that much to look it up, but of course, there's going to be some states that are like, you just need to claim that you guys don't get along anymore. But there's other states, especially like in the South, where you need very specific reasons. You need to be claiming spousal abuse or something like that. That's the example that I just gave you as an exception. So I'm not really understanding what she's pushing for here. I think we already have these things happening. I don't. What else
If
can
you're
we
saying
do?
you're not allowed to get divorced, so we're talking about like what if
Saying
the
you're not allowed to get divorced. We should make it to where you're not allowed to get divorced, and then saying, oh, but there's gonna be caveats to that. That's like you're already your point was this narrow line of like you should not be able to get divorced, and now you're like walking it back. I just don't understand how she could believe anything that she says when she's so quick to like give herself an out to every single talking point that she has.
the relationship is physically abusive.
Hmm.
I promise you, I have not seen this yet. And that's exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking. You know why? I think it's because a majority of people feel this way. And I think she is just intentionally saying psychotic shit because she knows that that gets a reaction online. I know I've said that multiple times, but it's just what I believe.
Yeah, I think if it's physically, see, this is the problem though. All right. If it's one-sided,
You're right.
physically
It is a
abusive,
problem.
okay,
You probably shouldn't
fine,
beat your
divorce. We
spouse.
can allow divorce for those exceptions, but
Okay.
like I've even talked to people that work at like abuse centers, and they
So
say,
your point is that we should keep divorce the way that it is in America currently. We should keep it to where you have to go to you have to go to court. You have to have a reason why. Most of the time, there's going to be proceedings where you're splitting things like apart. You want to just keep it the same, is what you're saying.
that the majority of abuse is mutual, so it's not just one side's hitting the other. It's like mutual. So
Surely
I
that's
just
not
the
every
goal. I
time.
think. Yeah, I know. I
But
didn't
it's
say it
not
was every.
healthier
I would say
either.
the percentage of that is pretty low, honestly.
I just think
And
that
when
the
it does
goal should be to
happen,
keep.
it's usually retaliation from somebody who is in an unsafe situation. The first thing that comes to mind is like Lorena Bobbitt, you know, how she like cut her husband's dick off. It was because he had been abusing her for years. Like I don't understand.
And that the goal should be to work through it.
I think most people agree with that, right? Because I think we all can look at the stats and say family
Mhm.
is important, right? Family is important. Nuclear families is important to like the health of children growing up in general. I
Exactly,
think we can
yeah.
all say that.
Right, that's what I was saying.
But when you say something like divorce should be illegal,
Yeah.
we got to kind of suss that out because that's a pretty extreme claim. For example, in 2014, family
Mhm.
violence was the cause of 25% of divorces. So I don't think it's fair to characterize that as some kind of like super fringe example of why
Right.
people get divorced.
Yeah.
Well, but you also have to look if there's incentive structures in place where there's a lot of false accusations in family court. Um, and a lot of people don't know this, that family court is actually it's not based off of evidence, it's based off a balance of probabilities. And there are incentive programs that you get, like in the UK, you get a free lawyer if you accuse your husband of abuse. And it's less than 10% of cases are actually
We're not
like
talking about the
followed through
UK.
with the police.
We're not talking
Sorry,
about the UK.
I don't want to move on quite yet. I want to
Yeah.
stick on the
We're not
topic
talking
of
about the
not.
UK. And also, these incentives that she's referring to are what you need in order to get divorced. The exact thing that she's saying now we need to remove is what she was just saying 5 minutes before is what we need. We need reasoning. There needs to be a good reason for it. Otherwise, you just got to work through it. Like she is literally saying the fact that you have to go to court and then explain why you need a divorce, she doesn't want that either. So what do you want? Do you do you want them to just like do you want a couple to just like go to a church and like talk it out with a priest? Is that what you're like trying to say? I don't even know if she's religious. It's just she gives me that vibe of the whole like God doesn't want things this way.
allowing people to divorce. So you're saying that you do want to allow people to divorce. Then you
Exactly.
don't really believe that.
I'm a fucking genius.
No, I would say ban divorce.
Oh, because you just said
So
you would allow an exception in the case of abuse. Or and you a
Okay,
ban
fine,
divorce.
fine.
Yeah.
Ban divorce except for one-sided abuse.
Okay,
Sure.
except for one-sided abuse. And is there going to be a system to kind of how do you prove that the
You know how you
woman
prove
or
it?
man
Well,
was
I-
on
by
the-
going
think-
to court.
Yeah.
I think you
prove
have to press charges in criminal court, not family court.
So only if your significant other is tried criminally are you allowed to leave the relationship.
That
Tried and found
that's
guilty
dangerous.
criminally.
Yes.
That's
yes.
dangerous.
Otherwise, just stick out of, which is fine if you don't, want to be with someone forever. But I just say stay out of marriage.
Right, but-
because when you take marriage is
Yeah, but
supposed to be.
but then what? You get on your TikTok and talk shit about how all women should be married and they shouldn't not want to get married. So which is it, Pearl? Which is it? Do women need to be married and have a husband in order to have any self-worth or worth in society? Or is it the other way around? That if you don't want to get married, you just shouldn't get married. So then what are they supposed to do? Because then, if you're not married, okay, you're probably going to go get a job to support yourself, right? But that's literally what you just said you didn't want at the beginning of the video. Your brain is made of rocks. Like, actually.
Be, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health.
I'm, like, getting angry.
And for richer or for poorer. It's not supposed to be, when I feel like leaving. And the majority of divorces nowadays, it's just, when the girl just feels like leaving.
That's not true.
So,
It can also be when the guy just feels like leaving. I don't understand why you hate women so much, Pearl. What the fuck? You're a woman. Like, it's just, I know that that's like so obvious, but that's the thing. It's so obvious. Like, what is wrong with you?
and well,
It's just not true.
I've talked to hundreds of women.
That's
on my
not.
show.
That's just
So,
that
have
doesn't
you-
prove
I-
anything.
And even if you look
Have
at
you-
when no fault divorce was initiated in the 80 and 1970, I think it was initiated. I mean, one of the number one reasons was financial differences and irreconcilable.
and yeah,
That's actually what I was looking for, so I'm not going to make fun of her for not knowing how to pronounce that. I was looking for that word. And irreconcilable, that is just a hard word to say. Irreconcilable differences, I think, is what it is. So what do you okay, so let's put it back into your terminology. What incentive are they going to have then when they go to court? You need something to claim in order to get a divorce, right? That's what you just said. You need a reason. But it can't be an incentive. And so in your mind, an incentive is just anything that gets you out of the marriage. Which, to you, marriage is something that people should want. Because you said that at the beginning of the conversation. Let's not dilly-dally here. It's like every word that comes out of your mouth is a contradiction on the previous word.
Sorry, I can't talk.
So-
But yeah, I just think for the people that don't believe in real marriage, because what is marriage if you can get divorced over damn near anything? It's not marriage anymore. It's something else.
Well, I
So-
think the reason for that, historically, this emphasis on staying married, right? Or even before this no-fault divorce was an option, and it was more difficult for women to get divorced, or men, the abuse of power and the risk for abuse and for people to get stuck in a horrible relationship situation, not just for them, but their kids, right? I mean, obviously, having your kids watch their mother get beat up. And oftentimes it's going to bleed.
or the kids get watching their father get beat up. Like, it goes both ways.
Yeah, and wouldn't you say that that is a negative aspect of what could happen if somebody couldn't get out of a divorce? That's exactly what you've been saying the entire fucking time, is that you want this family to stay together because that's better for the kids, right? And I already discussed how that might be the case in a percentage, right? Right. So then how are you going to turn around and say, yeah, but kids shouldn't watch their parents get divorced? And that goes on both sides. Kids shouldn't watch their dad get abused. Kids shouldn't watch their mom get abused. Yeah, that's true. So then what do you want them to do in that case? I don't think I've never actually I'm like genuinely trying to rack my mind. I don't have very many examples of people that I know who were in an abusive relationship who were able to work it out to where that person was no longer abusive mentally or physically. The trauma of that situation is also going to be negative for your children.
And I acknowledge that. It goes both ways. So both people have
Christ.
a right to, in my opinion, get divorced, because the alternative is one of the partners being stuck and like
Do you think that's
potentially
the
a lethal
majority? Do you
situation.
think that's the majority of cases
A majority of cases
Yeah,
of what?
I
Divorce?
think a lot
of
of
divorce?
cases.
Do you think the majority?
25%.
Yeah,
25%.
What?
25% is a
25%
big
based on
number.
statistics.
No, but that's not. No, that's not what's in criminal court. It's like less than 10.
Whoa. We're not talking about criminal court. We're not talking about criminal court because do you know how much there is such okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting really irritated, but okay. Let me preface by saying I have no education in this, no formal education in this. I'm just somebody who reads a lot and is very interested in true crime. Do you know how much it takes to get a prosecutor to take somebody to court? You need evidence. And in these cases of abuse, most of the time, the evidence is going to be, I told my friend that when it happened. Because guess what? When you're trying to keep photos of the bruises your husband or wife has left on you, those kinds of things, that is what is going to push them to murder you. And that happens so fucking often. People who try to get evidence, unfortunately, are snuffed out by their partner because they don't want to be caught for the abuse. And then even if they do have that evidence and they bring it, it needs to be enough for a prosecutor to think that that is going to be enough for a jury or a judge to put that person in jail. So let's not talk about criminal cases, okay? It takes a lot for you to actually go through the criminal proceeding process. Again, mind bag of rocks.
It actually followed through in criminal court.
Well,
So
regardless,
you can't-
10% is enough, don't you think?
No, I said less than 10% of the abuse cases of the 25%. So that's like
It should be
Journal of Family Violence in 2014 found that approximately 25% of divorces in the United States involve domestic violence.
right, but again, that's because the woman says that she was because their incentive.
Why are you and you're assuming it's the woman?
You're just
Program.
saying stuff. You're just saying stuff.
shit,
You don't
literally.
actually know that to be true.
No, I do.
How?
I do. Like, okay, in the UK, there's a law that you get a free lawyer if
How does that? Sorry, but how does that prove that women are lying about
She
violence?
keeps like pulling this. You get a free lawyer in America. You get a free lawyer in any case where you can't afford a lawyer. Like I don't understand why that is like heavy on her noggin. Like she's like it's so unfair to me that women who claim abuse against their male spouse, because God forbid they're a gay it's a gay relationship because brain exploding, right? I don't understand where she's getting the idea that having a free lawyer is automatically going to mean that you're like ahead of the other person in court. And I don't know anything about UK law, but that's because I don't live in the fucking UK. So like in any case in America, if you're looking at criminal charges, if you can't afford a lawyer and a lawyer is appointed to you. Have you ever watched Cops?
Nice.
Jesus.
No, because I'm saying that you can't. Okay. You can't prove it unless they go to criminal court because criminal court is based off of evidence where family court is based off of a balance of probability. So it means it's more likely that they did it than didn't do it. It's not innocent until proven guilty.
It's preponderance of the evidence. Yes, I understand that, Pearl. The likelihood of a jury convicting somebody of abuse isn't always that high because, again, evidence is really, really hard to be documenting for somebody who's abused. Think of all the kids who have to come out and realize that their parents were abusing them their entire childhood. What evidence do they have? They might have telling family members, shit like that, but so often it's mental abuse too. It's just so disgusting to me that you're even like spouting this idea that like women are lying or being dramatic when they're, or men are being dramatic when they're being abused, and that they should have to press criminal charges in order to get out of the situation. Another thing is, not all victims want to be going through years of court proceedings where they're having to sit right next to their abuser or right in front of their abuser while they tell the story of how they were abused, because that's also traumatic.
Right, but they're not going to jail. It's
I did
just
not
to
think
let
that this would
the
make me
abused,
this angry.
I mean, you could call
partner-
it jail when you have a lifetime of not seeing your children. When the
You
whole
could, but
like
it's not.
community. I mean, you could. I mean, have you spoken to these men? It's like literally their whole community thinks they're an abuser. Now they get to see their kids maybe 3 days a month if they're lucky. A lot of
Sure,
them are put on.
sure,
A lot
of
of them are
course.
put on.
Yeah,
right.
there's bad outcomes for sure, but on the
Horrible. I mean,
whole,
a lot of men zero themselves out during this.
they what?
What does that mean?
Like a lot of men commit suicide
Oh, I
during.
see.
Like,
Oh.
yeah.
Zero
that's horrible,
out?
you
Is
know?
that like
It's horrible. It's like absolutely terrible. Like I interview these men that are going through this.
Yeah, I'm sure
'Cause
that's happened.
There
but at
is of course there's going to be a percentage of men who are accused of abuse that didn't do it. There's also going to be a percentage of women who are accused of abuse that didn't do it. Many people every year decide to zero themselves out, as you said. I don't think this talking point is winning you very
At the
very
same time, you're saying
like,
women are lying about violence, and I haven't seen you be
No,
able to
okay.
prove that.
I'm saying that you can't prove it unless you go to criminal court because family
but it's
court
not
is
a
not
crime.
based off of evidence.
Right, but they're not going to jail.
not-
It's just about the welfare of the kids, and you know, what I mean, the people
It's a
involved.
crime if you're falsely accusing someone of abuse.
yeah. True.
And so I'm saying there's no you can't
she like her okay, so she like has this list of Ben Shapiro talking points. She runs through them, right? Every once in a while she's going to give you this little snippet of statistics, and then every once in a while she's going to give you like a blatantly obvious fact. And again, it's so her 11-year-old followers can Google it and be like, oh my God, that's so true. And then they can go on Twitter and be like, Pearl's so right about everything. And on TikTok.
they only prove
you're
it in less than
nauseating.
10% of cases.
Okay,
In criminal court, because criminal court is based off of evidence, family court is not.
so
I genuinely
let's
don't
just
know
say
how Ethan
less
is
than
talking to
10%.
her
I'll just
without,
give you the
like,
benefit of
losing
the
his
doubt on that.
marbles.
Still seems like enough to give people the option to leave. And this idea that women just leave whenever they want seems a little bit infantile, because people change, right? Especially when people get married young, which does happen. People change. People go through shit. People grow apart. A lot of the men who end up being abusive, you hear, were one way before they got married and one way after you get married. So I don't think it's fair to say you're just leaving whenever you want, or you should just have to stay in this forever.
Right.
Wouldn't you prefer people get married than never get married? Like, I feel like you would be disturbed if, like, only
That's exactly what I was
5% of
saying.
couples ever got married.
None of your
I'd
talking
rather
points make
people got
sense,
married
girl.
and stayed married.
Right, but that wasn't one of the options.
You said people should. Okay. You said women should have to get married because that's what they're meant to do, right? Okay. So then how are we going to turn right around and then say, well, if there was even a possibility in your mind that you'd ever get a divorce, you shouldn't have gotten married. I don't know about you, but all the people I know who have been married or are married didn't foresee themselves getting a divorce in the future.
I actually don't see a point in getting married with the way that marriage is today, to be honest.
Oh my good God. Oh my good God. What? Isn't that your entire fucking philosophy? Oh my God, the stupidity is like rampant. I'm not the best at like debating people, but I feel like this is just like a slam dunk for like anybody. Like she is
Yeah, because
actually.
again, like, what is it? The average marriage is like 8 years.
I feel like Ethan's trying not to
So
laugh.
the average
like, dead
marriage
ass.
is 8 years and you're done. That's not marriage.
Leaving a marriage due to domestic violence and not pursuing criminal charges. If so, let's say that a woman's in a marriage and they have no fault marriage divorce. So let's say she doesn't want to charge her husband. She just wants to leave amicably, okay? But in your situation, she's forced to charge him legally to have a police investigation, charge him for domestic violence.
That's a problem.
Wouldn't that
That's
be
dangerous,
more
like I
damaging
said.
to his reputation?
That is dangerous. Because now you're
Not if he
forcing
beat the
criminal
case,
charges
because
in.
again, it's based off of evidence. But I mean, I think that why would you want an abusive guy walking free? If he's actually abusive, he should go to jail.
Right.
Shouldn't we agree on that?
Obviously. What the fuck? Oh my God.
Right, but it's just not that simple again, because like it's just not that simple. Abuse cases, because and it's not that simple to convict people.
I just don't think that men should be punished.
Sorry, I'm texting my sister about how fucking insane this woman is.
Without evidence. And I think in family court, it's not based off of evidence. It's based on a balance of probabilities. And so you have...
No, it's not. Well, I don't know what it's called in the UK. It's based on a preponderance of the evidence. In criminal proceedings, there needs to be no doubt that this person committed the crime, right? The other thing is, if you're now saying that all divorces that end legally have to end because of a criminal charge, so now, as Ethan said, you're forcing women or anybody into a criminal charge against their spouse when maybe there's no actual criminal behavior, they just don't really love each other anymore, right? So now you're forcing them into that. And then on top of that, you're wasting taxpayers' money because now these people need to go through the court process. We need to pay a judge to be presiding over this. Either it's going to be a trial or it's going to be multiple proceedings. You're forcing so much to happen when it could just be, we didn't love each other anymore. Sorry, it didn't work out. I don't know about you, but I don't need any more money coming out of my fucking paycheck every 2 weeks because you decided that people can't get divorced because they don't love each other anymore.
Men only, like, they're stuck seeing their kid like 3 days a month when, again, it's not based off of evidence. Like, I've interviewed guys where literally the wife, and I've seen the court documents. It's coming out in my documentary that's coming out in the fall. But the wife.
I don't know if I'll be able to legally, but if she comes out with a documentary in the fall, I'm fucking watching that. And you know what's gonna happen? My mind is actually gonna like explode, I think. It's gonna be like that part in Scary Movie 2 where Shorty's head like comes off and you can see his brain. It's gonna be like that. This is your mind on Pearl.
Was plotting to try to get the guy to hit her.
Right, I'm sure that happens, but
And the
that
wife still got custody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
That
not
sounds
a
like something Pearl would do with her 3D chess game that she's playing with every conversation, where she's trying to be like, you just slide this thing in there that doesn't make any fucking sense.
representative case. Again, I mean, for example, you ask why a mom wouldn't want to try a parent. It's more nuanced, right? I mean, you need a more developed take on that because it's very traumatic for the kids and the family to put their father through a violence case, and especially when the kids are probably going to have to ask to testify, to talk to the police.
Yep.
I mean, I totally understand why a mother or father wouldn't want to put their family through that, don't you?
And your whole thing is that we need to be supporting families. What she's describing is literally putting families through the worst possible situation that they could go through legally together. What do you think that's going to do to all of the relationships in the family? They're all going to resent each other or just harbor negative feelings about what happened in the past. I can't imagine what it would be like to have to testify against either of your parents, regardless of whether or not they're abusive. I can't imagine what that does to your brain as a child, even a teenager. I'm disgusted by her.
I mean, I can understand it. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. And I mean, according to national statistics on domestic violence, okay, there's 10 million men and women each year that are the victim of physical abuse. But in your world, I have a feeling that a lot of these people would be trapped in these marriages.
And they're faking.
And that's okay.
I said in one-sided abuse, they could leave. Yes.
Okay.
So, no.
Okay.
Which is a direct contradiction
Do you?
on what you said at the
I do
very
think in
beginning.
order to get custody of your kids, if you're going to accuse the other side of abuse, you should have to prove it.
Do you think what do you think is more harmful to kids?
Oh my goodness.
Divorce or physical abuse?
Physical abuse.
Okay, you passed that one.
the fact that she even had to like physical abuse. I guess. But divorce is like, you could go to hell. Don't you know that? You could go to, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like making fun of like her actually as a person, but like, I just can't imagine waking up in the morning and thinking these things, regardless of whether or not they're just to get attention online. You've got some serious
But you had to
issues.
think about it for a second. Tell me, what does red pilled mean to you? Because I've heard you use that phrase a lot. You're part of the red pilled community.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
a lot of people, I will say, a lot of people have their own definitions of it, so people use it for different things. But I would say it's viewing the world the way it's supposed to be, or like the way it is, not the way you're told it is. So, like, for example, a lot of guys think if they treat a girl nice and give her flowers, that, she'll essentially sleep with him. And then a lot of guys find out that's not true. And so then they,
Isn't that like a feminist take? She's like, this is the problem. I don't believe in feminism. This is the problem with feminism. Blah 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 blah. And then she's like, I just find it so funny how men think they can treat women nice and like get whatever they want. That's like dead ass. Like, you should just be good towards women, but also anybody, to be good towards them. Period. There should be no sexual tie to that.
came together and realized that. So that's just one thing.
Is that true? Do men really believe that?
That, what do you mean?
That if you buy flowers and be nice, she'll sleep with you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's real. I think that's like
and then also that's also true. Like, I don't really know of any straight men who believe that, like, necessarily. I know that there's like these like things that people come up with, these like matchmaking schemes where it's like, oh, say X, Y, and Z and then put her down and then 3 minutes later come back and ask her for her number and she'll say yes, like that kind of shit. But I don't really know any straight men that are like, dude, I'm telling you, you gotta buy a woman some flowers, she'll put out. Huh? What?
really
This
odd
isn't
way
Greece.
to describe
Like, I don't
dating. It's
understand.
just like men are nice guys and women
Well,
are.
I just think
it just seems very
I would say-
cartoonish. Like we're talking about real world stuff, and it's just you can't
I mean,
really.
I just think men don't really. Men don't expect like women to reproduce more with felons than non-felons. Like I think that's a surprise.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, wait. Men don't expect women to. Hang on, we're gonna back that up because
And to
that.
reproduce more with men don't expect like women to reproduce more with felons than non-felons. Like I think that's a surprise.
Women reproduce more with felons
I don't. I genuinely
than
don't
Violent
understand
non-felons.
what she's trying
Yeah.
to say.
I mean, like think
Whoa,
about it.
whoa,
Like
whoa,
Ted
wait,
Bundy.
hold on, hold on,
What
hold
I'm
on, hold
trying
on,
to
hold
say,
on.
Pearl.
Well, yeah, what does that mean? So felons who are procreating have more kids in general than non-felons. What does that stat mean?
They have more children
I don't know why, but her
with
face, which
felons than non. It's like
So if a
I don't remember
I
if it's
can hear
violent
like the bandwidth noise, like the loading, like internet, whatever the fuck. I'm too young, but you know what I'm talking about. Like I can hear that going
felons
on.
versus non-violent felons, but I just remember violent felons have more children than non-violent felons.
and so there's men
You know why? It's probably because of rape.
who are looking at that and they're pissed.
No, not
Because I've
pissed,
never
I
heard
think
that stat in my
surprised.
life.
Me either.
No, I think
But
just
honestly, it's probably not true. It's probably just blatantly not true because she's a liar and she's just making up shit or just taking a kernel of truth and turning it into a whole fucking bag of popcorn. But yeah, I mean, what are you describing as a felon though? Like what do you like I and also I don't know if this is me being dramatic, but I feel like there's a little touch of racism in there. Like she just sprinkled some racism on that like misogyny pie. Like I don't.
surprised.
Right? I've
Because,
never heard that stat.
Okay.
I guess it's just because I get the idea that she associates felons because this is the way that most. I don't want to generalize, but these kinds of people who say these kinds of things, usually when the topic, and I could be crazy, but this is what seems to be true every time I see clips like this, most of these people who associate they associate brown and black people with felons automatically because they have that fake statistic where it's like all black people commit crimes and shit like that. So that's why I'm like, I feel like she's sprinkling a little bit of racism on that pizza pie. I don't know.
Yeah, is there a source for that? It just seems kind of an odd stat. Like, what does it prove?
Like, what does that mean?
Felons
It's
have more kids than non-felons.
Well, I think the reasoning is because women want a guy that can like protect her, basically.
A felon?
Yeah.
That's
Why
a
do you
weird.
think Ted Bundy,
this is like an
why do you
anti-men
think Ted Bundy
take. I
had
thought
like
she loved men.
love letters?
Oh well, that's a whole different weird phenomenon about
is
women
like-
being interested.
No, but that's-
weird.
There are literal books written about that girl. That is not your conservative talking point that we need to be getting into, okay? There is some other shit going on there that happens. There's actually a really good podcast about it.
A niche
No,
of
but
women
that's the
involved.
point.
All
That's
serial
the point.
killers.
That's surprising.
Right, it is
Right.
surprising, but
It
I don't
is.
think it's any interesting commentary on the dating scene. That
And it's
that
also
serial killers
it's not
get
that common.
love letters from freaks. You know what I
Like
mean? Richard Ramirez
well,
did too. All serial killers do.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
don't-
but the point is it's one like it's not the same for women. It's just men.
so what is your
No.
point exactly?
No, actually, I think that's blatantly false. There's one case that comes to mind specifically where a woman was having a sexual relationship with her student because she was a teacher, and then she convinced the teen student to murder her husband for her. And then that woman went to prison, and then she was getting love letters from men who thought it was awesome what she did. And that does actually happen. I don't know if it's the same amount, but it happens.
That what does that prove? That felons have more kids than non-felons?
That a lot of times women pick the bad boys, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Of having more kids.
I think this is a self-report.
A guy that's a violent felon.
This is
You
a
don't think?
self-report.
Okay.
What?
is there a source for that? It's just a really weird stat. I'm just trying to grapple with it.
I can get it. I can get it in a
Sure.
second. if
Yeah,
you
that would be
want.
great. I mean, we can try to look for it too. I just want to hear what's.
It's in. I can show you where I found it. It's
Okay,
in this.
fantastic.
Mm,
Yeah, Casey Anthony got love letters apparently. So she was a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, she
Not a
killed her
serial killer.
daughter.
No,
Not
no, no, not a
serial,
serial killer.
just a one
So,
time.
so Casey Anthony
Yeah,
murdered
don't worry, not a serial killer. It's just a one-time child murderer.
her daughter, and she was getting love letters too.
Yep.
She got letters proposing marriage. Don't you find that surprising?
Yep. There's another case.
yeah, that is surprising.
There's
So
many
in a sense, it's
examples.
not. It goes both ways,
Yeah.
kind of when you look at it holistically.
Yep.
Um,
Lorena Bobbitt, she, after that situation that I described before about the spousal abuse thing, she actually was offered to be in a ton of porn movies. She was offered to be in a bunch of magazines where they wanted her to reveal herself, things like that. Okay. So and that is also just a little clue into the American misogyny as well. Because anytime that a woman does something like that towards a man, she is usually sexualized in the media, whether it's in a negative way or a positive way.
yeah, no, I think
And that's
it's
just
more
true. I just believe
so
that.
for women pick
Sorry.
violent men
I'm
more
just-
than men pick violent women.
Based on what?
Um,
He's
I
trying
think you
not to
can just-
laugh. Look at him. He's trying not to laugh.
I would just say, I would
Just
guess. I would guess.
Every time from now on, when I'm about to give you guys something, I'm gonna be like, you know, I just feel like, and then I'm gonna say it like it's a fact, okay? And then you're gonna believe me, and then you're gonna clip this, and you're gonna put this on TikTok, and I'm gonna get super famous and go on Pierce Morgan.
That it's more common with women because of that study versus like a fringe case. I would be surprised if women got the same amount of letters, but I could be
You
wrong.
might be surprised, but do you feel that sometimes you argue from emotion rather than like concrete facts? I find that when you talk about, and I've watched a lot of your videos, you say stuff that I don't think has much of a backing in reality. It's based on feelings, maybe instead of not emotions, but feelings. You say, I feel this to be true. Do you feel you do that a lot or no?
I try. I would say I'm a woman, so sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Interesting
But-
defense.
Hold on. Do you want me to find
She's
it or
me
no?
during this video
Sure, yeah.
texting my sister.
I'll give you a minute. That's totally fine.
Yeah, find that
okay.
statistic, girl.
So-
You know why she's scrolling and not searching? You know why she's scrolling and not searching? It's because she has a list of all of her talking points in her fucking notes app.
But why should I engage with
That's
in a
why.
conversation with you at all if women are just emotional? Shouldn't I be talking to a man about this?
True.
Probably.
Yeah, we should probably get with the men about this. We should probably get with the men about this. You're so right, Ethan. He ate with that. That was good. That was really good. Left no crumbs.
Why do you bother to even have a platform? Shouldn't you just concede to a man?
True, it should just be a man saying
Yeah,
it. You
probably.
should just give Andrew
Yeah.
Tate your account.
So we got to look for a man to replace you,
Yep.
don't you think?
No, not
don't-
really.
You don't think? Okay. But you do think women are more emotional.
Okay,
I
I
gotta
gotta
say, some people have been saying that Ethan's gotcha moments aren't that good. I don't know. He's been getting pretty good at making people look like absolute idiots. Regardless of whether or not they're actually stupid, he is very good at finding an inaccuracy and then circling back around it when they are not expecting it. And in this case, I think she genuinely was like, fuck. And she's just scrolling through her Ben Shapiro talking points, her Steven Crowder talking points.
find. Hold
Okay, go
on.
ahead. I'll give you a minute. Sorry, I won't.
Okay,
I won't,
sorry. I'm trying to talk to you
Candace Owens
at the
talking
same
points.
time.
Yeah, I'll give you a minute there. But it's fine too. We can move on. If I'll give you a minute, but we don't have to get stuck on it.
I think this was live too. So people were probably just murdering her in the comments. Murdered by words.
It's fine. I mean, we can. It's fine. We can move on.
Might be waiting a while.
I found it.
Oh, go ahead.
send-
Okay, perfect.
Oh, there we go. What's it called? I'll pull it up.
Here.
Dan, oh my
The
god.
link, he pulls up the
This
study
is
and
so good, Dan. What's it called? I'll pull it up. Why do you only get to see it? Screen share, baby girl. Let's see it.
the stream. So
I
the
want to hear
link
it from a man's mouth. I can't hear it from your mouth. So I want to hear it from Dan's mouth, then I'll believe it.
is on here.
Whose stream is it?
It's Rolo's stream.
Rollo Tony
But
Browntown?
yeah.
He's a
He's
good-
great, actually.
I know you're.
That's
a fan.
exactly what I was
He
saying. That's exactly what I was saying. Is that she has a list of talking points from other conservative pundits because she doesn't believe the shit that she's saying,
seems like a nice guy.
or she's just
Yeah, he's really nice.
not completely there and needs like a
I like
literal
his
outline.
headwear.
This
I
shit,
like when he rocked.
this shit, straight off the dome. You know why? Because I'm a man.
Where do I send it to?
You can send it in the Zoom chat,
The Zoom chat, yeah.
or you
Oh,
can
it's
just
on
tell
my
me the
phone.
name of it and I can pull it up.
Oh, she can't. Her
Okay.
phone's not
Either
It's
way.
connected.
in Rollo Tomasi is offensive and vile.
Are you reading
It's like
comments, girl?
7 months ago. But yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll look into it. So if women are so emotional, do you think it's bad faith in terms of an argument to argue from feelings and to present feelings as facts? Do you think that's a bad faith way to argue or no?
No, I was kind of kidding. I was like,
What
joking.
were you kidding about?
When
You were kidding. About
I don't know,
what?
whatever you were asking me earlier, you were like,
Is she high? Is she kind of iconic to be like a conservative pundit, like trying to be a conservative pundit, and then you're just like faded out of your mind on every interview? I mean, it makes sense. I feel like that's how Alex Jones does it.
do you? I don't even remember. You said something like, "Do you think you shouldn't have a platform?" Or like,
Well, right. Well,
Yeah.
I asked and you said, well, I'm a woman. Of course, I'm going to. I asked you, do you feel that you make arguments based on feeling? And you said, yes, I do, because I'm a woman.
oh yeah, I was kidding. No, I use facts to back up my arguments. Sometimes I'd say I'm wrong. Sometimes I think something and it's not correct.
You're
But
true.
I would
That's very
say
true.
most of
I
my
would say 99.999999999% of the things that you've said so far are either misleading or just blatantly false.
opinions, I try to at least have a basis of fact. Yes.
Okay.
Some things you just see in reality, right? I mean, like
Some things you
sometimes
just
you're
see.
gonna, yeah, I mean, you can, like some things you just learn from interviewing hundreds of people, you see patterns.
Right. But sometimes when you interview people, you interviewing specific people with specific experiences, you're obviously going to run into a bias.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, because we do street interviews all the time too. So that's like random people on the street.
And then
Okay.
and then what? And then you cherry pick which ones you're going to put in your video. Just like Steven Crowder does.
Fair enough. So so there's the red pilled, which are people who see the world for what it is. And then you have blue pilled people, which I'm assuming is someone like me. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But what does blue pilled mean?
People that see the world for how they'd like it to be, I guess.
Okay.
But I don't talk much
That's
about.
you. Remember, you just admitted that you argue from emotion. You see things the way that you want to see them through your emotional lens. And it just so happens that your emotional lens is unfortunately very unfounded. Like actually factually unfounded.
I guess like blue pill, but yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. We don't have to focus in on that.
I feel like I need to break this into parts because holy shit. There is just so much to pull apart. If anybody found this interesting, maybe I will do another part.